time to review Chopping Mall. Here we are, living, laughing, and loving. Hi, welcome back to Beauty and B Movies with me, Pale Kale. Today, the subject of conversation on the chopping block is the movie Chopping Mall. Chopping Mall is a 1986 classic about a group of horny teenagers that get more than they bargained for when they're caught in a mall after hours with, you guessed it, killer robots. No, I did not make that up. It is true. I'm not yanking your chain. This is a movie about robots. How much more 1980s could this get? Stay tuned to find out. And if you'd like to see me kind of create this very new romantic, David Bowie inspired, a little bit, I'm using that term very loosely, so, you know, don't read me. But if you'd like to see me achieve this look, talk about Chopping Mall, and give you all my thoughts and opinions about this I just popped my nail on. That's my life. Intros are cursed. This is a cursed intro. If you would like to see me achieve this kind of David Bowie, new romantic inspired look, and yes, I'm using that term loosely, so don't read me too much, and you'd like to hear me talk about the 1986 classic Chopping Mall, just keep watching. Nothing like that first sip of an Alani cherry twist. I thought this one would be better for today because look at how 80s the packaging looks. All right, let's talk about Chopping Mall, shall we? So in the first 5 seconds of the movie, we get a mullet, and then immediately after we see a robot. That's when I knew this is gonna be good. The opening of the film, we find out that Park Plaza Mall, which is it's the Chopping Mall, the setting of the film, we learn that they have replaced all of their security guards in the mall with robots. Of course, because it's 1986, so we gotta have some robots in there, right? They're explaining this to a group of people via video presentation for some reason. I'm not really sure why.
Of the mall.
Paul, they look like the Three Stooges. Wonder if they kill cockroaches.
They could probably be programmed to. Remind me of your mother. It's the laser eyes.
But they're kind of letting them know, hey, don't be worried. These robots, actually they call them protectors. They don't kill anyone, they just detain criminals.
I don't know, that guy looked awfully dead to me.
Just neutralized.
This is also important, it'll come back, but they have also installed new security doors that they auto lock them all up. They're on a timer or some shit like that, and once they're locked, the mall is locked. The mall is secured. It's shut down, closed for business. This is kind of the opening that we get. Feels a little ominous. We see the robots. They're just kind of sitting there looking very innocent, but as we will soon find out, these robots are not protectors. Oh, we get an extremely long title sequence after this with some lovely TI-80 graphing calculator music. You know, the beep, boop, 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 beep, boop, boop, beep, boop. Very 80s. People going up and down the elevator. There's a woman carrying a tray with a ton of sodas, and people keep almost bumping into her, and it's very hectic and chaotic. And then, oh man, I wonder if she's gonna spill those sodas. Oh wait, she throws them. Actually, she if you show it in slow-mo, she literally whips this tray of sodas at a guy with a curly mullet. I'd love to see that in slow-mo. But don't worry, at least 5 of the cups are empty. We wouldn't notice. So now it's time for us to meet our lovely leading ladies of the film, Allison and Susie. And they work at some pizzeria in the mall that serves something called an Uncle Luigi's Belly Buster.
Can I get 2 Uncle Luigi Belly Busters, a double anchovy pizza, and an order of garlic logs?
No earthly idea what the hell that could be, but all I could think this whole scene is we're introduced to the girls and we kind of see the chef that, has created the masterpiece, I'm sure, that is the Uncle Luigi's Belly Buster, is that his cigarette is about to ash. That stresses me out. Why are you cooking while you're smoking? That's definitely not sanitary. God, I'm so low energy. Let's see if this concealer will wake me up inside. call my name and save me from the dark and bring me to life.
I can't wake up, wake me up and save me.
I mean, it's doing something for me. Oh, we also get one of the most 80s sentences I've ever heard uttered.
In about an hour and a half, we bail this barbecue, and it's good times to the max.
That's great. I mean, let's all thank Susie for that one. Let's give her a hand. Please clap. As we're meeting Allison and Susie, they're just kind of talking about Susie's trying to get Allison to go to this little party, this little soiree in the mall that they're going to have later. Essentially, the plot of the movie is that it's a group of teenagers that want to have like a sex party in the mall. Seems logical. Susie's trying to get Allison to come to this party, and Allison's kind of nervous about it. I guess it seems like she's new in town or something. I'm new in town. It seems like she's new in town. And Susie's just trying to get her to come so she can like make some friends or whatever. Meanwhile, as the girls are talking about bailing the barbecue and having good times to the max, you know, like you do, there is a bolt of lightning that hits them all and kind of like fucks up the protectors, the robots, and sends them on a murderous rampage. So we've kind of already got our entire plot established here. We've got kids hanging out after hours in the mall being naughty, and I hate that word. I hate the word naughty. I can't believe I just said that. I don't know why I said that. That sounds so like naughty. Like, ugh. I feel like I'm covered in slime. I hate that word. Strike that from the record. There's a bunch of kids hanging out in the mall after hours being... See, this is why I said naughty. I can't think of another word. Being bad kids. Sure. Very succinct. Being bad kids, and there's a bunch of robots on the loose that are going to come detain them. And by detain them, I mean... murder. Oh, I also wanted to mention too, it's not important at all, and I don't even need to mention this, but I want to. The protectors, the first person they kill is their little robot like handler scientist guy, and he's smoking too. This is the second guy we've seen smoking in the first like 10 minutes. And I know, you know, back in the day people smoked more, you're allowed to smoke indoors, all that jazz, but it feels like, you'll notice it now that I'm mentioning it, but this movie feels like a pro-smoking ad. I'm not saying anything either way about that. I'm not saying that I hate that. I'm not saying that I love that. Just an observation that I noticed. We get to meet the rest of our cast of characters. We meet Ferdy, a nerdy allergy kid who is scared to stray from the rules. We meet Michael, who's becoming a real candidate for prickhood.
You're becoming a real candidate for prickhood.
And we meet Greg, who is young Ed Helms. I had to Google this because I really thought this guy was Ed Helms. I knew that the time frame probably didn't meet up. Like, Ed Helms is probably younger than whoever this actor is now. But I really wanted it to be him. I was like, this dude looks just like Ed Helms. Anyway, it's not important, but I have to call it out now because it was all I could think about every time he like appeared on screen or talked or anything. So, had to mention it. The guys are kind of talking about, you know, I mean, it's boring. We just get introduced to them, and Michael makes weird noises and quacks.
Quack, quack.
Our dude Michael also likes to chew his gum throughout the entirety of the movie with his mouth open and like sideways like that. It's pretty annoying. He kind of has one of those faces, you know? You just want to punch him. I think that was a stylistic choice. I don't think this actor actually has a face like that. I think it's just the gum chewing that makes you kind of like hate this guy a little bit. But we meet the boys. We also meet Rick and Linda, who are a married couple. Rick is like a mechanic. Well, actually, they both are. Rick is the husband, and Linda is not like other girls and like fixes up cars and stuff. The couple, even though they're like married and seem to be a little bit older, maybe they're also going to this sex party at the mall. I have no idea. Again, this is a side note, but this movie focuses so much on them being married, and it doesn't matter. Like, there's no relevance to them being married instead of dating or something. They just talk about it constantly. Like, all of their dialogue is like, remember when we said for better or worse?
No way. I covered this whole deal when I said for better or worse, remember?
Of course I remember. I mean, who could forget that 48 stain right there on your tux?
I don't know. I guess they just maybe wanted to create some character development. Like, hey, this is their characters. They're newlyweds. I don't know, but it was distracting, quite frankly, and unnecessary. I didn't need that. But thanks anyway. Oh, another thing about the married couple that I thought was weird too. Why do they need to go to a sex party in the mall? Like, I understand why the teenagers would need to go, because like when you're a teenager, you're probably not gonna have sex at your house with your parents around, or maybe you do. I don't fucking know. I wasn't doing that as a teenager, but I was also weird. Shocking if true. But I didn't really get why the married couple would need to do that. Like, can't they do that in the privacy of their own home? It's kind of weird. But anyway, forgot to mention this too, but we also meet Michael's girlfriend Leslie, who is very minimal to the story. I did have to mention her though, because she does come back in a very exciting way. Don't you worry, you'll hear all about her. We also cut back to Allison and Susie, and we learn that one of the other reasons that Allison is a little bit nervous to go to this sex party, I gotta stop calling it that, why she's nervous to go to this party, is that she's being set up on a blind date with Ferdy. Remember Nerdy Ferdy? He's being set up with Allison. It's kind of their way of getting him to stay quiet, because I guess his uncle is the one who owns the store that they're having the sex party in. It's like a furniture store. Again, none of this is really that relevant, but I'm mentioning it. Finally, we get to the good stuff. The party. Yeah, everybody's having a pretty bitchin' time except for Nerdy Ferdy. He's in the John, hyping himself up, kind of like, you can do this, like, you're not that much of a nerd. I totally get it. I felt for him. Also, I think Ferdy is actually super cute. He's that classic 80s trope of like, I was ugly and then I took off my glasses and I was hot. Because he's literally like just as cute as all the other guys, but he has glasses on. They just act like he's this huge geek. But anyway, he's in the bathroom kind of trying to hype himself up. He meets Allison and her 45-year-old mom from Wisco haircut, and he is just smitten. She does a little chair turn and is like, hi. And he's like, hi.
Meet Allison Parks.
Hi.
Hi.
Love at first sight. How precious. How sweet. Apparently this turns their friends on, which is weird.
Hi.
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 I feel like people were just maybe like hornier in the 80s. Maybe they were less stressed out. Economy was better. I don't know. But my friends meeting each other and being attracted to each other doesn't make me horny. I don't know. It's kind of a weird response, you guys. Let's proceed. Does that sound like the SpongeBob dude that's like 3 hours later?
3 hours later.
Is he French? Wait, the SpongeBob narrator is totally French. I'm actually discovering this in real time. 3 hours later.
3 hours later.
He totally is. Wow. The more you know. So the killbots get out, they escape. But don't worry, the gang doesn't even notice because they're busy role-playing sex games with each other within earshot of their friends. I would be so embarrassed for my friends to hear me talk the way these people are talking so closely to their friends. It's so uncomfortable. Why are we having public sex around our friends? Like, they're not involved. They're like in their own little pairings or whatever. But they're literally like 10 feet away from each other, if that. It's fucking weird. Cringe to the max, I would say. And I know this is like nitpicky and not important, but somebody's gonna buy that furniture, and it's pre-fucked in furniture. People are having sex in new furniture. Like, that's so rude. So anyway, we get to hear a little bit of this dialogue. I gotta mention it because it's terrible. I mean, you know, except for young Ed Helms over here, he really knows what to say to make a lady feel special.
You smell like pepperoni.
Yeah, that reminds me of when I worked at the movie theater and I always smelled like butter, and I was really self-conscious about it. Good thing he likes pepperoni. Apparently, this kind of gets Suze going over here because she whips out her pepperonis and then they kind of continue on with their little rinky-dink. Couples are all doing their thing, and then we got Allison and Ferdy over here. They're watching Attack of the Crab Monsters. Honestly, it seems like they're having a way better time. I would rather be hanging out with them personally. I also related because when I was a teenager, that's what I was doing. I was sitting on a couch with the male friend that was like designated for me, apparently, actually watching the movie while all my friends were making out with other people. I was just kind of hanging out, you know, eating sour cream and onion Pringles and actually paying attention to the movie. I was really cool. What about these brows? Do they look okay? I think they look okay, actually. They're not my best brows I've ever done, but they're also not my worst brows I've ever done, I don't think. Let me look at them head on. Yeah, this one seems a little long. I don't know why that is, because I think they're the same size. I don't know. So Allison and Ferdy end up making out, so I guess they got luckier than I did when I was their age. Good for them. Rooting for these crazy kids. Out in the mall, the janitor, he kind of gets into it with one of the robots. He's mopping up something with the most disgusting mop water known to man. He kind of gets sassy with the protector.
You clumsy son of a bitch! Look what you did. I ought to turn you into scrap metal for this.
He pulls out his identification badge to show him, and the protector doesn't give a shit and murders him anyway in the most realistic death scene we will ever see in the history of cinema.
You bastards were gonna be trouble when I first brought you in here.
So, yeah. I'm not laughing that he died. It's just, what a way to go. I'm gonna start doing my eyeshadow, and again, like I said earlier, please bear with me. I'm doing kind of like new romantic type 80s look, and it's very different from what I normally do, so it's gonna be a little bit more concentration involved than usual. So meanwhile, back at the store, Leslie has needs. See, what did I tell you? Pro smoking ad.
I have a cigarette and I have to have one now.
Are you for real? Can't you think of anything you'd rather have besides a smoke?
No.
And Mike wants some more sweet, sweet lovin', so he decides, you know what, I'm gonna go get this bitch her Virgin Lights. He leaves to go pick up a pack of smokes, because I guess you could do that out, like in the mall back in the day. You could just go to, I don't know if it's like a vending machine or what, but that's cool. I'm not endorsing smoking as an idea or a concept here. I'm just saying it's interesting how things change. It reminds me of when you go to the grocery store, right? And there's like 2 aisles where they sell cigarettes, and then the rest of the aisles they don't. So the 2 that would sell cigarettes would be like exponentially longer than every other aisle. And we would always go in the aisle that sold cigarettes because my dear sweet mother needed a fix. I'm not judging her for that. Hi, Mom. Yeah, so Michael leaves the store. He's just walking around with just pants on, no shirt, no shoes. Oh no, it's, what is it? No shoes, no shirt, no problem. That's how he's kind of going through life at this point. He runs into one of the killbots and tries to show his ID, but same thing as the janitor. The killbot says, I don't give a shit, man. I don't like that you chew gum with your mouth open. You're out of here. Michael gets murdered, so, you know. I was kind of happy not to have to see the open mouth chewing anymore, I'm going to be honest with you. Bye, Michael. You certainly were in the movie. Michael gets murdered, and Leslie decides to go looking for him because she's sick and tired of waiting for her cigarettes. He's taking too long. She thinks he's kind of pulling a prank on her, as one does, you know, in a horror movie. The characters always think it's like a practical joke. So she goes looking for Michael, somehow doesn't see him, even though his feet are literally like stretched out across the floor. She doesn't see him. She runs into him. His throat is clearly like cut or slit somehow. I think the protectors do it with their little claws. Glass, you know, I don't know. Anyway, his throat is slit, and she like shakes him, and then he falls into the light, and she sees that, and she's like, oh my god. She starts running. The protector starts chasing her and shooting super realistic laser beams. This is why I mentioned Leslie, because she gets an incredible death scene. So Leslie gets shot multiple times with lasers. They kind of just like, I guess they hit her, but they don't draw blood or anything, which will bother you later because the lasers are inconsistent. They either kill people or they like barely like hit them and barely phase them. I don't know. I don't get it. The point of all of this is, though, that she gets hit multiple times with the lasers and they do nothing until one laser hits her in the head and explodes her cranium. Boom. Leslie head everywhere. Honestly, best part of this movie, right? I mean, not that I'm saying, you know, I like violence or anything. It was a cool death scene. I'll give them that. It was pretty cool. I gotta blend this blue and this. See, I'm not even using a purple for this look. I'm just blending a blue and a pink together to get a gradient. It looks super patchy right now, but it will not. This is gonna be one of those looks that looks fucking insane till the end, and then it'll come together. I promise. Poor Leslie takes a beam right to the noggin and it takes her out, obviously. The weirdest thing about this scene to me was that the only person that was reacting appropriately, crying, all that stuff, was Susie. The rest of them were just kind of like, no way. Oh my gosh. Wow, that's heavy. That's heavy, man. Her head exploded. There's no fucking way I would have screamed. I would have screamed. Oh, this is moving away from what I wanted. This is moving away from what I wanted. It's getting a little too, like, it's almost getting a little fantasy. I just want to get a good gradient on these eyes, and I will. I know they look really, like, separated right now. It's all gonna come together. Don't you worry. So the Protectors 1 and 2, they're like the first two robots, they shoot out the store windows and they're coming in for the kids because obviously they heard I think Susie's the only one that screamed, but they heard that and they were like, oh, there's intruders, we have to get them. So they start shooting more of their super realistic laser beams. And the gang runs into the back, like, stock room or whatever. They run in there. I thought this was funny because it was a little chaotic. They're, like, buttoning up their shirts and stuff as they're, like, barricading the doors. Like, it was just funny to see because they were all, like, half naked as this was happening. It just makes you think in a, like, higher budget movie, they just wouldn't show that. They would just be clothed, or they'd, like, be buttoning one button on a shirt or something to imply, like, oh, they got dressed. No, you like literally see, I think, what's the newlywed girl's name? Linda. It's Linda. She's like buttoning her entire shirt up. I don't know. It was just funny. Stuff like this is what I noticed. So unfortunately, while the gang is in the back stock room, the mall doors lock. Because remember, they're on like a timer. They lock on their own. So they're locked in with the killbots. You see the dilemma. So they have a really good idea though. They decide they're going to crawl through the air conditioning duct to get out and go down onto like the level, I think they said it's like the parking level. So that's a good idea, right? I was not unimpressed. What I was unimpressed with was when they're climbing up into the air duct, Linda makes a very ill-timed sex joke.
I'm right behind you.
As usual.
Come on, Linda. Time and place. There are murderous robots afoot. We don't need to hear about your weird sex life. Like, it just was bizarre to me. I was like, that was not necessary, but hey girl, whatever. Unfortunately, the robots burst into the room and the guys are unable to get into the air conditioning duct with the girls. They're split up. The girls keep kind of crawling through and then they realize, oh shit, the robots must have some kind of control over the air conditioning duct because it's getting hotter and hotter. It's like heating up while they're in it. This part actually kind of gave me the jeebs because I'm super claustrophobic. I cannot handle small spaces. If I feel like I'm trapped, I'm like a fucking horse. I'm gonna start kicking behind me and shit, like move, everybody get out of my way. I don't like it. This actually kind of freaked me out and I'm not alone because Suze feels the same way. She's like, I gotta get out of here. Anyway, Susie's totally bugging. She's getting claustrophobic. Who can blame her? She's stuck in an air conditioning duct that's, you know, all the room's being taken up by Allison's fucking hair. Nobody can breathe in there. I get it. So she decides, instead of going through with their plan of just going down to the parking level, they are gonna, I mean, I guess they all decide this, but Susie's really the one that's like, I don't care about you guys. I'm getting the hell out of here. They kick their way down into, I don't remember what kind of room it was. I don't think it even matters. They exit the air conditioning duct is all that matters. They get out of there. They get the hell out of Dodge. They're like, we're going to go find the guys and help them because for some reason, Susie is convinced that Greg needs her. She like keeps saying like, he needs me. I know it. And it's like, for what, girl? Like, honestly, I think you'd probably slow him down. Sorry, I just want to, I know it goes straight out, but that's kind of the point. New Romantic is very like cut. These are not even. But whoa, we're halfway there. Whoa, living on a prayer. Take my hand. You'll make it, I swear. Whoa. We're halfway there. Okay, we are not halfway through the story, I don't think. Actually, we might be, but not this makeup. So, I'm gonna pound some blue into this fucking crease because my eyes are hooded, so they get super fucking creasy. It's really fun and different. Blam, 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 glam, 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 Duran, Duran, Duran. Okay, that actually looks kind of cool. Don't you know you got to shop the monkey? Remember that song? Meanwhile, while the girls are deciding that they're gonna escape, the guys decide they're gonna go find some weapons because they gotta fight back, you know? So they immediately go to the gun store. I guess this mall at this point in time had a gun store, which honestly, that's not that surprising. I don't know why I was like, oh my God, but that just seems kind of like, wow, okay. Easy to get, huh? So the guys go to the gun store, they grab a couple of guns that look like the controllers for Duck Hunt. I mean, there's no recoil or anything when they're shooting them too. You'll see later, but they just, they act like they're the easiest little things to shoot, which tells me these were probably video game controllers. The guys go get their weapons. Ferdy, it's the funniest thing because 1980s James Marsden and Ed Helms, they get the big like Duck Hunter like guns, like they look like shotguns or whatever, like they're supposed to be shotguns. And Ferdy just gets like a propane tank and this tiny little gun. Yes, I know, I don't know the types of gun. Sue me, I'm sorry. But I just thought it was funny. They were really like hammering the point home that Ferdy's a nerd, so he doesn't deserve like a big gun. He just gets a propane tank and a little gun, I guess. I don't know. It was just funny. Anyway, they track down one of the killbots, and Ferdy kind of gets to be the hero with a little bit of an assist here because they throw the propane tank. I mean, the other two guys are shooting at the killbots, right? But Ferdy throws his propane tank at the robots and they shoot it and it explodes. The robot explodes. I don't know if I'm crazy, but I really would have thought that explosion would have been way bigger given that that was a propane tank, but what do I know? I don't know about explosions. I could be totally wrong, but I feel like as a whole in this film, the explosions could have been exponentially larger. That's all I'm saying. Maybe they couldn't fit it into the budge. That would make sense. I think this movie only had like it's definitely under $1 million. I can't remember how much it was though, but it wasn't a large budget feature, let's put it that way. So like I mentioned earlier, the babes bail on the air duct. They're like, we're getting out of here. And they decide to arm themselves as well, right? They got to be able to fight back. So they go make a couple of Molotov cocktails and grab some road flares, and they're like golden, honestly. They're like, we're gonna go find the guys. So they do just that. So now we got a showdown between the bots and the babes. And we also get a really, really realistic scream. The girls are kind of running away from this robot and Susie gets shot in the leg, which remember earlier, Leslie had been shot multiple times and was fine. No, this takes Susie down immediately. Again, the consistency of the lasers is confusing, but I digress. This scene really reminded me, her reaction, I guess, to the robot coming after her really reminded me of that scene in the first Austin Powers movie where they're driving that like machine or whatever and the guy's like, no, and he's super, super far away and they're like, move out of the way, and he just screams until they run him over and he has plenty of time to move out of the way. That's what this scene was. I think this scene inspired that, maybe, who knows, because Susie literally just lays there and screams until the robots kill her, I guess. Susie actually has a pretty brutal death. The propane tank that she's holding gets shot by the killbot and she is burned alive as her friends just watch. They do nothing to help her. They're just kind of like, oh no, that's not bodacious. No, it's not. Bye, Susie. Kind of felt bad for her. Like, damn, her friends really just did not give a shit that she was burning alive, you know? This yellow is, whew, that is a bold yellow. Bold yeller. Yeah, that's kind of giving what I was trying to do. Yeah, I know, it's crazy. That's kind of the point. It was the 80s, man. I missed out. I should have been alive at this time. This is freaking cool. I don't care, man. This is cool. It's so weird. Like, can you imagine me just like picking up asparagus and just being like, oh yeah, this is my eye makeup. What? And what? I love it. Oh my god, this is so fun. Makeup's supposed to be fun, you know, like, yes, I know, beige eyeshadow is so appealing, but bring back bold makeup, please. Can we just, like, for a minute, please, down with the clean girl makeup, please. So, unfortunately, the guys show up just in time to witness Susie's untimely demise, and again, same thing, her boyfriend Greg, or Ed Helms over here, he's just kind of like, oh no. Like, is nobody gonna help Susie? She's just burning alive. She should have stopped, dropped, and rolled, but like, I don't want victim blame. If anything, I'm bystander blaming. Like, what are you guys doing? You're just watching your friend burn to death? They all kind of see this. They decide they're gonna work together to blow up the robot, one of the robots, in the elevator. They like trap the robot in the elevator and then they shoot it. I don't even know. maybe just show them blowing up the robot in the elevator right here. The gang decides they need to regroup and kind of, you know, get their wits about them. They need to kind of talk about what just happened to Susie, because that was fucked up, you know? And Leslie. Like, they've seen some very insane deaths, and nobody's really reacted all that much, except Susie when Leslie died, and now she's dead too. So it's like, what the hell's going on around here, you know? So they go back to the pizza place, you know, the place where they sell the Uncle Luigi's Belly Busters. We know and love them, obviously. They go back to kind of regroup there. Ed Helms gets extremely upset with the rest of the gang. He like points his gun at, I can't remember who it is, but he points his gun at somebody, and I was like, dude, take a chill pill, man, okay? I get that he's upset. He has a good reason to be upset, but like, you can't point your gun at people. You don't do that. That's like gun safety 101. I don't even shoot guns, but I know that. Like, don't point your gun at people. Don't do that. They decide they are gonna try to find like the mainframe, very 80s of them. We're gonna find the mainframe and shut the robots down from like above. Like they're gonna use the computer to shut the robots down.
Computer, huh? Let's go trash the fucker.
So solid plan. I totally get it. I mean, they're locked in there, so they gotta figure something out, right? Running away isn't an option, except it kind of is. Wouldn't you try to go back up into the air ducts? Like, why have they not tried that? That was like a gaping hole in this to me. I guess I'm just non-confrontational, like completely. So I was like, oh, I'd be like running away. I'm not gonna try to fight. I'm gonna try to run. But that's my trauma. They don't try to do that though. I guess they just decide against that. They want to kill the robots, maybe for like revenge. Greg certainly seems to want revenge because now that the group's got this new plan, they're running out to go find the mainframe. Greg goes off half-cocked, wanting to be the hero, and runs right into one of the killbots. And it pushes him off, I think what's the second story or third story ledge, because this mall has multiple stories. Well, it pushes Greg off the ledge, and now Greg's gone too. Rip. That's why you don't try to be the hero, I'm telling you. Run away. Run away. Or hide or something, you know? Don't try to fight back. Like, it doesn't work out. So we say goodbye to Gregory. Bye, Gregory. Greg dies. He lays in a pool of V8 blood, you know, because the blood budget, I think, was minuscule on this project, to be honest with you. I guess the robot that they thought they blew up with the propane tanks, you know, the guys earlier when they were shooting at it, they thought they killed it, but I guess that one's still alive. So you're still living? I will take my flowers on that one. Can you believe that this eyeshadow, this is 3 eyeshadows, this whole thing. Look at that gradient. That's pretty. I keep having to touch it up because my creases are so bad. Like I have to like pound the powder into my creases on my eyes. Now we're just down to Allison, Nerdy Ferdy, and the Newlyweds. And they have got to race against these killbots to try to get to the mainframe so they can shut them down from within. Ferdy gives us another contender for the most 80s line of the film.
Are you kidding? The moment any one of us go out there, we're dead meat. Yesterday's news.
We love to see it, right? That's a great line. I love it. And then we also get another great line from Linda. She utters something that I think, you know, we've all said once or twice in our lives.
I guess I'm just not used to being chased around a mall in the middle of the night by killer robots.
Totally. Totally. They decide to like take another break. They take a lot of breaks in between fighting the robots. I guess they're tired. Maybe they're like, you know, I haven't worked out in a while, so I need a minute to catch my breath. Maybe Ferdy has asthma. That would make sense. But they kind of stop. They chill for a little bit. And then they decide they're going to give the robots target practice and use mannequins from, I guess they just wanted to be like, look, this isn't a mall, you know, there's mannequins. That's fun. Fun and different, except I get the concept of putting the mannequins out for them to shoot at, like the killbots to shoot their lasers at. You know, I get that, like misleading them. But why would you stand next to the mannequins and shoot back at the robots? Why wouldn't you hide behind the mannequins? Or like hide in the corner and shoot? Like, you know, these are the things that I get stuck on. I'm like, that makes no sense. You're still getting shot at. Who decided this? Like, whose genius plan was this? I know it wasn't Ferdy's. He has glasses. He's smart, okay? By 80s movie logic, if you have glasses, you're a genius. It's just the way it is. I don't make the rules. So I know it's a bit sudden, but I have eyeliner on now. I gotta keep it rolling because we're actually not that far from the end. Anyway, the gang is kind of has this stupid plan with the mannequins. It doesn't work well. Linda dies via laser right to the friggin' gut. So sucks to suck. I thought this was, again, inconsistent. She has the worst death for sure out of everybody because it literally just shoots her in the stomach and then she's laying on the ground with a little bit of blood coming out of her mouth and she's dead. Okay. The other girl's head got exploded, but I guess we can't all be Belle the Ball. Literally like 2 seconds later, Rick dies as well. He hops on this little, like, I don't know what it is. It's like this little machine. I don't know. Just insert it here, please. That's how Rick dies. But you know what? It's very Romeo and Juliet, isn't it? They go out together. Newlyweds. They live together, they die together. I don't know. How romantic. So now we're just down to Allison and Nerdy Ferdy. They have to take on this hefty task of taking down these killbots, right? They make the always poor decision to split up. And Ferdy even says, like, that's a bad idea. And Allison's like, nah, you're not in charge, Ferdy. I'm in charge. I'm the captain now. So she decides she's gonna take things into her own hands and they're gonna split up. Never a good idea, but let's see how that pans out for them. They're like running past all of these different stores. I was just looking in the background because I've seen this probably 5 times now. And I just wanted to, you know, I was curious, like, what stores were in the mall at that time? House of Almonds? I'm so sorry. I got really hung up on this one. Like, how would House of Almonds? Almonds are relatively tiny. They need a whole house? That whole storefront, you're telling me that whole storefront is full of almonds, different types of almonds. This is the stuff I think about. I don't know. I love almonds, but like, geez. A lot. So anyway, they keep it moving past the House of Almonds. They decide to split up. They're both just kind of walking through the mall. There's a lot of filler scenes at this point. This is when the movie started to feel very long and slow, and I was like, all right, let's end this. And it's actually not that long of a movie. I think it's 71 minutes, so I was kind of like, you know, checking my non-existent watch here. But never fear, Allison does find not the mainframe, but one of the robots. Predictably, the robots have found them. This little guy's trying to attack our girl Allison here. She screams and doesn't defend herself in any way, which really didn't make sense. Sorry, let me blend out my nose really quick. Really want my cheek to be very cut. I'm not gonna do like a complete new romantic cheek where it's like just fucking square because I have a very, obviously you can tell, my head's a square. So I don't want to completely cut it like that. I am snatching it up a little bit just to give my face a little bit of like roundness, I guess. But I do have to kind of cut the cheek more than I normally would. Allison kind of yells for help from Ferdy, which I thought was very weird and not in line with her character. Like, she's supposedly this girl who can like, she's really good with a gun and she's in charge, but she has to yell for help from him and doesn't defend herself against the killbot. Okay. It's Ferdy to the rescue. He shoots out the robot's laser and it's kind of like blinded, but then he realizes, oh shit, out of bullets. So he just like kind of whips the gun at the robot, but this does nothing. The robot grabs like a fire extinguisher with its little like claw hands. It's like, like it's a bear or like a cat or something. Like what these are like kitty paws. Anyway, it grabs a fire extinguisher with its little robot claws and whips it at Ferdy, hits him, and apparently kills him. So, all right, Ferdy's down for the count now too. It's just down to our main squeeze, Allison. I don't want to use any bronzer. I decided against that. I am gonna re-glue these lashes down here. Just give them an extra layer of glue. I'm trying to get a little further into the makeup because I'm getting really in like the end of the movie and my makeup is not there at all. This one just, like I said, it just required a lot more heavy concentration. I actually think I like this one better than the original one that I did, so. But we do need to add a little bit of blue in here because, again, just creasing right off. Hard to keep these colors nice and rich looking. Okay. Yeah, now it's just 1v1 Allison against the last Killbot. She's kind of running through the mall to some sick Super Nintendo Donkey Kong country music. Yes, I realize that ages me, but I care not. I loved it. I was sitting there kind of like... It was fun. I liked it. And then actually, you know what? Donkey Kong Country came out in the early 90s, but it had some pretty 80s sounding music. I don't know. It doesn't matter. Anyway, let me get a blush brush too. This is the blush we're using. This is the House Labs. It's in the shade Glassy Pitaya. It's one of the little cream blushes. I love these. This blush is fucking insane. Like, on an average day, would I wear this color? No, I'm really not a pink blush person, to be honest with you. I like more of like a peach or a neutral, but in this video, in the confines of this video, it is 1986, so this is the only option. So Allison's kind of trying to find different places to hide from the Killbots. Killbot, there's only one left, right? So she runs into this pet store. I was a little scared here because I was worried that they were gonna kill a pet or an animal or something. They don't. The animals are fine. So if you're a person that can't watch horror movies where an animal dies, me, justice for Mustache. I still haven't forgiven you, smile. But if you're someone who does not like to watch horror movies where an animal is harmed or dies, don't worry. They're fine in this one. I did think this part was actually pretty interesting because she hides under like a cage or something, and she has live spiders and a live snake crawling all over her. Mad respect to her because she had live reptiles and spiders crawling all over her. Now, spiders don't really bother me. Snakes? I don't fuck with snakes, okay? I know I look like a person that would own like 9 snakes and be like, oh yeah, they're all my babies. No, I do not like snakes. I'm so sorry. I don't want anything bad to happen to her or anything, but they need to stay over there and I'll stay over here, okay? We need to give each other space. It's best for all parties involved because, whew. But don't worry too much because literally a second later, as the Killbot leaves, it kind of leaves the store because it can't find Allison because she's hiding. She stands up and we see, if you really slow it down, you can see there's obviously fake like plastic spiders that fall off her as she stands up. So I guess maybe they just didn't want to harm the real spiders. They were worried about that, which I appreciate, but like, you couldn't have cut that part out. Not an important part of the story, but this is the stuff that keeps me up at night that I think about. Allison decides she's trying to think of like a creative way to be the final girl here. And sorry, this blush is just like, ooh, I'm really having to pat it to really blend it out. So I guess Allison is sick and tired of hanging out with these fake spiders because she runs out of there and goes to the paint store. Another interesting choice of a store in the mall, but sure, I guess. She runs into the paint store and starts just busting open these cans of paint. Well, actually, you know what? She busts open about 3 different cans and they just reuse the shot like 5 times. I guess they really wanted to get their money's worth with that shot. They were like, no, don't use too many cans of paint. Like, we'll use the same like 3 shots over and over again. Don't worry. So sorry, but lashes are simply just too difficult to do with the camera's on sometimes. So now I have lashes and blush on. Love that for me. Allison is just kind of busting open these cans of paint, and then she sprints out of that paint store. The Killbot goes into the paint store to kind of apprehend her because it still thinks she's in there. And the paint gets into its like gears and it's a little, I don't know robot parts, you know? I'm not like a robot expert really. The paint slows it down and it kind of starts like moving around in circles and stuff, which is exactly what she wanted. She wanted to trap it in the store. I actually thought this was pretty smart. I probably wouldn't have thought of that, so good for her. Kudos. She gets a lovely road flare out of her titty. The titty flare that she's kept in there the whole movie. I think I forgot to mention it. I know I said that they grabbed road flares, but she like stuffed one in her bra or whatever. She's been holding it around this whole time, I guess. And she gets to yell a very winning line as she tosses the road flare into the paint store.
Have a nice day!
Wow, that was powerful. So I do have another gripe with this. I know I've had plenty, but wouldn't that explosion be so much bigger? Like, wouldn't the infrastructure of the mall start like falling apart and the other stores would be affected, you'd think? Why is that explosion only contained in the paint store? Like, only that store catches on fire. Like, I don't know. I just don't get it. I guess I thought the explosion would be bigger. And I know it's probably because of the budget, and maybe I'm even wrong, but sound off below. Are you an explosion expert? Do you think that that explosion would have been larger? Because I do. I think all of these explosions would have been bigger. They seem very modest. If there's one thing about explosions, they're not modest. They're not modest. So I'm gonna get some highlighter going. This is kind of the look. Like, we aren't to lips yet, don't worry. The lips are also gonna be like complete maximalism. I don't wanna go overboard on the highlighter because I don't think that's really the point. I think the blush is more the point. And I could have even gone harder on that, but I didn't want to take away too much from the eyes. Kind of just, like, see how that's cut. It's not that different from my usual cheek contour, to be honest with you, but I did not want to do a completely, like, cut. I just know that's going to look bad. Like, I know that's going to look bad on my face. My face is the most square face I've ever seen on a person. I am not over-exaggerating. I'm not going to make it look more boxy. That seems inappropriate. A little bit of highlighter on the nose, down the nose, a little bit on the forehead. Highlighter is always going to make that area look larger and draw the light to it. Contour is going to slim things down, which is why I contour the top of my forehead to make it look less massive. So I didn't have much time to think about this whole explosion thing because guess what? Ferdy's alive. I was thrilled about this because Ferdy's actually like my favorite character in this movie.
Hey!
He shows up and Allison's thrilled to see him. You know, we end the movie with them hugging. But the thing about this that killed me was he's holding an entire roll of toilet paper, like up to his wounded head. Because remember, the killbot threw that fire extinguisher at him and he fell over. I think it hit him in the head, or maybe he hit his head when he fell. It doesn't matter. He's holding like a roll of toilet paper to his head, which means he like came to after that injury, heard all the commotion with Allison fighting this robot and then the inevitable explosion, but still thought, you know what, she's got it. Like, it sounds like she has everything under control. I'm just gonna go find like a bathroom or a supply closet because I need to wrap up this wound, right? So he walked throughout the mall to find a bathroom or a supply closet, got some toilet paper, walked back over just in time for him to say, hey, nice shot.
Nice shot.
I was really stuck on this, and I know there's been like 5 moments like this in this movie, right, where I've been like noticing things that are stupid, but like he really said like, no, let me just go get something for my wound, you're fine, like whatever, it's not that big of a deal. He kind of just let her have this one, I guess. I don't know, I thought that was really funny. It just kind of cracked me up. That was the thing I laughed at the most, I think, at this movie, was the fact that he like stopped to tend to his own wounds and just kind of let her defeat this last robot. So that's the end of the movie. And I need to do my lips still because predictably I haven't done my lips yet. I almost always have to do them in my wrap up. The eyes just took me so much time, you know. I also want to say that I know this lip color is not one I would typically do. Hot pink is not really the color for me. I'm not much of a pink person, but what else could I possibly do with this eye and this cheek? It had to be pink. That's kind of what happens there. They hug, the credits roll, and we get more fun clicky clicky beep boop music. Love that. And that's the end of the movie. Now I gotta say, this movie had some of the most 80s dialogue I've ever heard of in my entire life, and I loved it. What do you think the most 80s quote was? Was it A?
In about an hour and a half, we bail this barbecue, and it's good times to the max.
B?
Hey, fellas, we got company.
Or C?
The moment any one of us go out there, we're dead meat. Yesterday's news.
Call now. All right, friends, that is Chopping Mall. Now, let's get into the wrap-up, shall we? I actually need a little spritz here. This is the Tarte Life Lock. setting spray. Fine, it's good. Setting spray is like, I don't know, unless it's literally like the longest wearing setting spray ever, I don't really notice that much of a difference, but hey. We gotta try it for some shits and gigs, right? So, can I look somebody in the eye and say this was a great movie? No. Did I enjoy it? Yes, for about the first half. I gotta say, I know I didn't talk about it that much when I was actually reviewing it, but this started to feel very long, and it wasn't that long of a movie, so I think they just needed to speed up the pacing a little bit, and I'm finding that with a lot of the 80s movies that I've been watching lately, because a lot of the B movies that I review, obviously, are gonna be from the 80s. It was just such an era of interesting horror, let's put it that way. And this film is no exception. This actually might be the most 80s film that I have reviewed on this channel. Do you think so? Let me know down below. Is there something more like significantly 80s than this? Because I don't think so. Also, this is a side note, but I feel like this makeup turned out pretty cool. It's not that different from what I normally do. I realize that sometimes muscle memory just takes over, and then all of a sudden you're like, I was trying to do something different, but I look the same. Anyway, I did love how like the 80s feel was though, right? I mean, we got robots, we got everybody smoking, we got big hair, we got boobs, we got babes, we got beep boop music, terrible fake blood, stock footage, all that good stuff, and obviously a soundtrack that only Diddy Kong could ever love. But I didn't hate it. I mean, it was definitely worth watching. It's part of my rainy day rewatch list for sure. I've seen this one multiple times at this point, so I'm starting to get to the point where I can like quote the characters and stuff, which is not good for anybody, because if there's one thing we all know, if I like a quote, I'll say it over and over to death until it's no longer funny, and maybe it was never funny in the first place. So that's Chopping Mall. Maybe a little perfume will help. I'm just gonna use a little bit of my Net Pear Jam. She's my fave. This is my girl. Smells so freaking good. Predictably, I got it in my mouth. I'm gonna start talking like Donald Duck, or maybe the Cowardly Lion. I'm scared of my own shadow. Yeah, this one was pretty bad. This one was pretty bad. I loved it because, you know, it has a place in cinema. Like I said, very 80s, which touched my heart, but it's pretty bad. The biggest thing for me that really got me was why is this called Chopping Mall? So I did a little digging, right? Because if you think Chopping Mall, you think masked serial killer running through a mall with an axe ready to hack up some teenagers. That's what I thought it was going to be the first time I watched it. And yeah, nothing of the sort. So I did a little digging, and I found out that this was originally called Killbots, that makes so much more sense, right? They're called like the Killbots. I don't think they ever used that term in the movie, but I read it so much online that I just started referring to the little robot guys as Killbots. That makes sense. I could understand why they would call it that. I cannot understand why it would be called Chopping Mall, but I guess something about like, they did like the screen test for it. It didn't do so well with the name Killbots, so they decided to rebrand it and call it Chopping Mall to get more people intrigued by it. Probably, like, presumably because slashers were so big in the 80s, I'm assuming maybe they wanted people to think it was a slasher. I don't know, but terrible decision. It should be called Killbots. It kind of reminds me of Intruder, right? Remember how it was called The Night Crew, and it should have been, and then they changed the name of it, and it was like, why? That one made more sense than this one though, but hey. Whatever. This is the stuff that keeps me up at night. I gotta be honest with you, this one's gonna get like 2.5 pumpkins. I'm gonna give it 2.5. I know that's like the lowest I think I've gone so far. How the mighty have fallen after Intruder getting the highest rating on my channel, but it was so slow. I'm really finding a lot of pacing issues with this one, and the special effects were so abhorrent. Like the worst I've ever seen, I think, maybe, I don't know, I've seen some pretty bad ones, but nothing else is coming to mind. Like, this was bad, but I did love it. You know, I love the nostalgia of it. I love the absurdity of the plot. Like, that was fun, right? You know, we enjoyed that, but I can't say that this is a good movie. I can't say that this is peak cinema. What I can say is you should go watch it. I'd still recommend it, but for my own sanity, I gotta give it 2.5. I'm so sorry. I think if they would have just figured out a way to make the ending less stale, that would have really helped, and maybe the special effects weren't as bad, because youch, those were terrible. Not exactly a good time to the max. It's the perfume. I'm dying. What do you think about this movie, about the movie review, about the type of movies I'm reviewing. Do you have any suggestions? Please leave them down below. Let me know what you'd like to see. I'd love to talk about more from the 80s because obviously I have a very soft, tender spot in my cold little heart for 80s nostalgia movies. 80s nostalgia movies, anything, culture in general. I love it, as you can probably tell. So if you want to see something from a different decade too, though, feel free. Should I do a really old B movie, like an actual like OG B movie from like the 50s? What do you think? I don't know. I mean, those don't call to me as much, but if people want to see it, sure. Let me know what you think. Please leave a comment, like this video, subscribe it, send it to your friends, share it on whatever platforms you may use. Thank you so much for making it to the end of this video. I'm Pale Kale, and until next time, thank you for watching. See you later.